What do successfully funded nonprofit grant proposals have in common? For this Changemaker Cafe episode, I analyzed 10 winning grant proposals totaling over $2 million in successful funding to find out what they're all doing differently. So we're going to go step by step to learn what all of these proposals had in common, and we'll also check out a few examples of what successful grant writing sounds like, referencing these real-life successful grant proposals so that you can use some of their strategies yourself. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content all about nonprofits, social entrepreneurship, fundraising, and more. So as I spent some time reviewing successful grant proposals, patterns started to emerge, and I was able to identify about 7 things that they all did that contributed to their success. So let's jump in. First and foremost, these successful grant proposals didn't start off describing their organizations or programs. No, instead, they started by describing the major problem in their community that they aimed to address. And then they went deeper. They also described the root causes of that problem on a systemic level and explained how the problem impacts other parts of the ecosystem. Here's what it sounds like. Our national food system is broken, as are many aspects of the systems designed to ensure that individuals living in poverty can access food. As a food and farming justice organization, Grow Food Northampton is designed to address both of these issues at a local level right where we live by creating a just and resilient local food system that nourishes our community and the earth. The dominant form of agriculture in the U.S. consists of industrialized, large-scale factory farms and agribusiness that conduct intensive farming practices that damage the environment, the very air we breathe, our water sources, and the health of the soil. The pesticides used in industrial farming harm not only the workers who grow our food, but the people who eat it. Industrialized agriculture transports food thousands of miles across countries and continents, not only contributing to climate destruction, but breaking down in pandemics, political unrest, and conflict. Federal subsidies incentivize and benefit agribusiness while small, diversified, local, and family farms struggle. Despite ever-growing economies of scale in production and industrialized agriculture, food insecurity persists. Malnutrition costs the United States $147 billion per year. Now let's talk about why this works. It frames the organization's work as a solution to a large, urgent, and systemic issue. This immediately grabs a funder's attention. So even if the organization serves only a small local community, the proposal shares the bigger picture, like how it's all connected. It shows ambition, but it's grounded in reality. The organization knows there's room to grow to tackle bigger parts of the problem, even if it is starting with a smaller, realistic solution. It demonstrates a deep understanding of the root causes, positioning the nonprofit as a thought leader rather than just a service provider. Secondly, these successful grant proposals didn't just explain the existing problem, they explained how the problem will continue to get worse unless an intervention like the nonprofit's program happens. Quick warning, this next example references domestic violence. Here's what it sounds like. Deaths due to domestic violence have increased by 62% in our state, according to the State Domestic Violence Network. As a result of the increased severity in cases of domestic and intimate partner violence exacerbated by challenging economic and social conditions, demand for our services is at an all-time high. Here's why this is effective in a grant proposal. Numbers create a sense of time and scale. So this illustrates how big the problem really is, like how many are affected and to what degree, and how it might continue to trend in the wrong direction if something doesn't change. It adds credibility to the organization's work. Data is a part of the proof that your organization's work meets a real identified community need. It also shows urgency. If the problem your nonprofit is addressing is getting worse over time, call that out because it shows how the funding is needed immediately before things get worse than they are. Third, I think we often forget that people reading the grant applications are human beings with their own experiences, emotions, and motivations also. And human beings respond best to stories that they can empathize with. just like anyone else. So each of these successful proposals included a powerful personal origin story that made their grant proposal really special. Here's what it might sound like. And another quick warning, this next example references suicide. I didn't know where to go or what to do, and I know everybody, Joe told our local newspaper. How's the average person supposed to find help? In 2019, Gary died by suicide. In 2021, Joe founded Here Tomorrow. By 2024, one man's goal to save one life has quickly taken on a life of its own. Here Tomorrow has supported 1,963 individuals feeling hopeless or suicidal at no cost and with no wait. So here's why the strategy of sharing a compelling origin story is effective in grant writing. People connect with stories. We shouldn't forget that as human beings reading our grant proposals, and people need to feel emotionally connected to your cause. An origin story humanizes your mission. Stories about personal experience make the mission feel real and important, not just theoretical. Stories also make the proposal memorable. It provides the emotional why behind the work and creates a narrative that sticks with the reader long after they finished reading the proposal. Fourth, stories are highly compelling, but they're even more effective when paired with credible, compelling results, especially results that show a program really works over time or is highly effective compared to industry standards. So let's take a look at a few examples of that. 97% of members home from prison are employed in school or in vocational training programs. So in this example, the organization shows how their programs has an impact on the rest of their clients' lives. Because of their clients' participation, most of them, 97%, are employed in school or in vocational programs. Wow, that's a really great statistic. Let's look at one more example. Friends have attended a total of 4,930 of 5,116 therapy visits referred and paid by Here Tomorrow for a no-show rate of less than 4%. By contrast, as many as 40% of people contemplating suicide do not show up for scheduled mental health appointments. So you see what they did there? Here's why highlighting compelling results, especially in comparison to other data, is so impactful in a grant application. Funders want to fund what works. Solving community problems is really hard. If your organization can show evidence how it is doing it well, funders will be compelled to provide support. The results add credibility. Nothing demonstrates a great track record better than those success metrics. Comparing your results to national or industry-wide metrics also provides context. If your organization's performance is significantly better than the average, it proves that your model is not just effective, but exceptional. So this technique makes your success stand out and highlights the unique value of your approach. Fifth thing, while showing great results is key, so is setting clear, reasonable, and measurable goals for the funding you'll receive if your organization gets a grant. It might sound inspiring to tell a grant funder that your nonprofit will serve 50,000 people in your city in the next year, but if that goal is unreasonable, then you're going to lose credibility in your proposal. Here's an example of how a museum outlined a clear, reasonable goal in their winning grant proposal. The overall goals of the project are to organize, assess, clean, inventory, digitally catalog in Past Perfect, and to rehouse at least 7,000 objects, 20% of our approximately 35,000 piece collection, bringing the total cataloged to 35%. So that was a little bit more of a dry example, but you kind of get the picture here. A few notes about why this works. Like I said, funders want to know exactly what their money will accomplish. The more specific you can be, the better. Vague goals can throw up a red flag for funders. Quantifiable goals show a clear plan of action also, so winning proposals outline specific, quantifiable targets for the grant period. This shows a clear plan of action and provides for a concrete benchmark for success that the funder can easily understand and evaluate. When you're setting goals and building a smart fundraising strategy, you need a fundraising platform that not only helps you collect and manage donations, but also gives you access to key data that can help you plan the most effective fundraising campaigns that you can. That's why I'm excited to share more about our sponsor of this series, Click and Pledge, a fundraising platform that not only makes it easy to run successful fundraising campaigns, but also gives you access to all your fundraising data and reports so that you can make those decisions about your strategy with confidence. You can track campaign performance in real-time dashboards, build customized reports that show what's working and what's not. You can understand donor behavior, like which moments in your organization's inspirational campaign video caused them to click and give, so that you can increase retention and forecast future growth based on your actual numbers. And you're not locked into a few preset charts. You can pull the data you want when you want it and actually use it to guide your fundraising and strategy. Plus, Click and Pledge's fundraising platform includes tools for customizing donation forms, peer-to-peer campaigns, text to give, video fundraising like I mentioned before, and more, all in one place with no extra cost and no contracts. Smart fundraising depends on smart data. So use the QR code and link in the description to learn more, book a demo of Click and Pledge, and get your first $25 monthly fee waived. The sixth thing that these winning grant proposals did was this. They showed how their organization's programs were designed with what's called an evidence-based approach. So here's what I mean by that. Instead of guessing what strategies would work to address community issues, these organizations studied approaches that were already proven through existing models and research and adapted them to their programs. Here is one example of that. Teaching at the right level is a simple, evidence-based approach. Its impact has been documented through numerous randomized evaluations and recognized as a great buy in global education. So let's talk about why this works. Using evidence-based approaches provides the proof that the approach will work, evidence-based. You would think funders would be most excited about the most innovative and new approaches out there, but it's actually better to think of funders as sort of like risk-averse investors. They want to have a high degree of certainty that the money they put in will lead to the impact results you promised. So using an approach already proven by existing research or other programs can make your program feel less risky to a funder. This also demonstrates your thoughtfulness, right? So by citing external validation like randomized evaluations or academic research or recognition from authoritative bodies, you can show how your methods aren't just well-intentioned, but are objectively effective. It shows your organization is rigorous and thoughtful and committed to a proven model. Seventh and finally, all 10 of the winning grant proposals I examined did something that you wouldn't expect really well. They invited the people they served to be involved directly in the mission and sometimes in leadership positions. A lot of times, organizations develop programs or solutions to help others while leaving out the voices of the most important people, the people that they're serving, who are closest to the problem because they live it every day. I'm talking people impacted by hunger, homelessness, lack of access to healthcare, or other issues. Here are a few examples from these successful proposals illustrating how these organizations are doing this. A core value of our work is to shift power and leadership to people in our community marginalized by the food system. To this end, we convened a Food Access Advisory Committee and food ambassadors, individuals with lived experience of food insecurity, to design and lead the FMFM with the GFN staff. A lot of acronyms. In this example, the organization invited people affected by food insecurity to serve as advisors to the organization so that they could hear directly from them what solutions they thought would work. Brilliant. So let's look at one more. I was in the 9th grade when I was arrested and went to jail. That's where I learned to read, in the book club. When I learned to read, it was like, I can do this. I realized I actually wanted to learn. It was like the whole world opened up to me when I started reading. Program member Decario. Here we see how the organization is elevating the voice of one of its members to share their story of how the program changed their life. So here's why doing this is so important to achieve funding support. Inviting clients to influence and design solutions ensures programs are relevant and culturally competent. Instead of just assuming what people need, inviting them to participate and tell us directly demonstrates how we truly have the community's best interests at heart. And funders want to see that. Letting clients tell their own stories make the impact feel more real. A direct quote from a beneficiary is often way more powerful than pages of a descriptive text. It provides an authentic, emotional, and irrefutable testament to the program's impact. This technique puts, again, a human face on the data and connects the funder directly to the lives that they can help change if they fund your proposal. All right, so I'm curious, what did you think? What ideas did this spark for your approach to programs and grant proposals? I'd really love to hear your thoughts, so share those in the comments below. And let me know if you liked this kind of video so I know if I should do more of these. I really hope this helped you out. As always, please don't forget to give it a like so that the algorithm will pick it up and share it with more leaders like yourselves. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content on nonprofits, board leadership, fundraising, and more. And there's always more resources in my weekly newsletter and my website, changemakercafe.com. I'm Amber Melanie Smith, and I'll see you next time. Bye.